So I can feel that, completely. And I think about it on two different types of levels. So one level are those things that, I just necessarily wasn't really great at even from the beginning, right? So it's usually things related to uh, tactical accounting, tactical legal stuff, just making sure that all the correct documents are filled out. It's the thing that I hate to do the most in the entire world, in the world of business. I hate doing those types of things. Then, that's one thing. The other thing that I personally struggle with, and we have as organization as well, is as we continue to scale and try to get new capacity, the skills necessary to do that change as well, right? So what got me from point zero, or 0 to 1 is not the same thing that's getting me to 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, and so on and so forth, right? So it's always learning a new type of skill. Like the biggest skill that as we have scaled up, quite significantly as a bootstrap type of company, the biggest skill is hiring and getting team members to work together and expounding and like transference of cultural values and systems and processes, where a lot of times I just even get frustrated, like I'll just do it myself, right? Which is not the best way to do it, because there ultimately come a point where I just won't be able to do everything myself. And actually, I think that's what caused me to burn out with my first company, Great Black Speakers, a few years ago. Was I was trying to do everything myself, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go take a nap. That's basically what happened. And I took like a 1.5 year nap, right? And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs actually, go through. So you talked about the cost of like not doing certain things and making sure you keep that on the forefront. But sometimes I don't even know if that's even enough, right? Like, how does an entrepreneur even make it more real, or go about changing their habits and working on actually breaking through even more, so that they can really get to that next plateau, get to that next plane?
Right. Um, Two quotes I really like that are really simple. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the journey to 1,000 miles begins with one step, right? Two really popular quotes that I think get to what it is you're discussing. We have to recognize that it's a process and there are steps, and we cannot expect that if I've started something, and maybe it sounds like what you're describing is maybe someone who's used to being a solopreneur is trying to scale up to having 5 employees or having six, or even much more than that. There are going to be some growing pains that happen there, and there are going to be some mistakes along the way. And I think that we have to really own that and accept that, but recognize that those pains are a part of the growth. And without those pains, there will be no growth. So the two things do actually come together hand in hand. So I would say that take it in steps, take it in bite sized chunks that you can handle. And maybe day one with your employee or your intern or your contractor that's helping you scale up, they're not managing the biggest contract you have, they're managing maybe a smaller one. But by day 500 or day 365, you're able to delegate more and more, because those growing pains have hopefully made them stronger at how they're providing value back to your company.
Right. And it's funny that you mentioned the quotes and talking about the pain. It reminds me of a book by Ray Dalio. Have you read the book Principles by any chance?
Haven't. I'll add it to my list.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of my favorite books about decision making. But
You always
he
have the
always
great recommendations, Lauren.
well, I probably read too much when I need to be doing action items. Then we're gonna get to that in a second here too. But he talks. No, he is the founder of Bridgewater Capital, which is the most successful hedge fund, in the world, right? Or one of the top three. I don't know. Really rich guy. But he wrote this excellent book about decision making and coming up with like your own principles and rules for decision making. And one of his major, he has two rules that really apply to this conversation. One is about this concept of growth, and he calls growth the combination of pain and reflection. So as you go through a certain level of pain and then reflect on that pain and learn something new, that's when you grow as a human being. And then something else that really resonated with me, and I've talked to a lot of people, that are on different levels of the career path, from the very successful billionaires and multimillionaires to people who are just really starting out. And even I even think about my daughter, right, who's 9 months old. This concept of like problems. And, for the most part, the problems that I have had, or I had when I was, let's say, 10 or 15 years old or 20 years old, or even now, when I'm going through them, they are no more or less of a problem than they were before, right? So it's like the magnitude, even though it might seem so different, like when I look back at the problems that I was facing when I was 20 years old, I got a B in the class or C in the class. It was still a problem for me then. It caused the same amount of pain as any type of problem that I have as a 35-year-old guy, who is, growing, a rapidly growing business, you know what I mean? And when I look, 15 years from now in the future, when I'm 50, and let's say I have a, very successful multi-million, dollar business, the problems that I have then are going to cause me the same amount of pain as the problems that I had when I was 25 and 15 and so on and so forth. So that really stood out to me. That's something that actually, kind of just changed my life in regards to in regards to how I think about just problems, challenges, and growth. So I love that you brought up that concept of pain, as a tool for growth.